Welcome back, folks. On today's show, Greg and I reminisce about the old days before LED, when we just used to sell light bulbs to people and advise them on the various types of technologies that were available to them to produce the light outcomes they wanted. So we talked a little bit about halogen and how much fun it was, and maybe where this industry has taken a wrong turn in terms of offering options to end users and what they can do with their lights. So listen to this one if you're into the history of the lighting business. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Keystone Technologies. Go to KEYSTONETECH.com, Greggy, KeystoneTech.com.
Always worth checking out what they have on their website, and we've talked a lot about their products, their LED products in particular. But one item that we haven't touched on, and is a huge item of importance to the industry, is a step-down transformer.
Boom.
They have some of the best in the industry. They've got it where you can go from a 480-volt system or 347-volt system down to a 277 just by using this. So what does that do? It opens up all sorts of product options for you, because not everything is rated for 347 or 480. You can put the step-down transformer in there and really put almost any product that's out there in the marketplace into an existing 480-volt or 347-volt system.
You know what? Even if you have a manufacturer, someone who's advertising that they have a 480-volt or a 347-volt purpose-built LED light fixture, I'm always a little bit uncomfortable. I found that 347-volt was a highly unreliable voltage. Like, we would have 3 times the burnouts on fluorescence with 347-volt. A lot of the warranty issues just happen to be on that 347-volt. Greg, is it the same thing with 480 in the States?
Yeah, and down the road when you need to replace that product, it's a lot more expensive. So you put this step down in there, now you can buy a common everyday product. Not with LED as much, but at least it's 120, 277-volt rated versus a 480 specific. So
step
great
it down.
Product that they offer.
Yeah, so step that voltage down with Keystone step-down transformers. And, of course, this episode of the podcast and everyone is brought to you by the National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors. Join us. Go to naild.org. But for right now, listen to Greg and I reminisce about the old days. Yo, Greggy, what's happening, buddy?
Oh, not much. Just another day in the lighting world. How about you, bud?
I'm thinking about MR16s, buddy. Do you remember MR16s?
I remember them.
You remember how many you used to sell back in the old days?
We did have a few customers where we sold quite a few of those, the Halogen MR16s, sure.
I used to sell cases and cases and cases of those, dude. And I went back into my warehouse, and it was like I picked up a box, and it was like from Indiana Jones. We blowing the dust off of it, right? It's like, I still got 200 of these bad boys. But you know what I was thinking about was how precise you could get with light output with MR16 halogen bulbs. Light output and spot or flood or narrow flood. You remember the ESX, EXN, EYC, all that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. I still don't think you can get that kind of precision with LED.
I think it's better than it was to start, but yeah, I agree. I mean, they do have beam angles and things that they put out there. They have a spot, a narrow flood, and a flood. But to your point, when you look at that, every manufacturer calls those degrees something different. Somebody's flood might be 35 degrees, and others is 40. Another
some people is 28. Some people is 28.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no rules. And, it's funny because I had a customer call from a condominium, and they're landed on my desk because they had a laser light show going on in their elevator with the LEDs. So whenever the LED elevator would go up, the LEDs would start to blink.
Yep, I've had that happen too.
Right. So I said, okay, here, take these LEDs. Right now, it turns out that the LED they installed was like 8 years old, so it was like a 3-watt MR16. It was kind of equivalent to a BAB or a 20-watt halogen. And they got the new LEDs, and they're like, okay, these ones don't blink, but it's so bright in the elevator now.
Too bright.
It's too bright.
Yeah.
So then, I'm looking around, and there isn't really the LED market hasn't really replaced that varying wattage for lamp shape yet. That I actually think that's important.
Well, that's when it's time for you to dust off your BABs, those 200 you have, and convert them from LED back to halogen.
Yeah, you know what? So I ended up sending them a halogen bulb and saying, "Is this the light level you want?" And she's like, "Yes, that's perfect." I'm like, "It's not LED." And she said, "Oh, I really like the color of that one." I'm like, "Yeah, that's a halogen bulb. Sorry, that's a 20-watt light bulb. But so I ended up finding her some second gen MR16s that were 4 watt or something that worked good. But I think there's some holes in the market that people have forgotten about, which was really convenient when you had all those different types of halogen. And I'm not sure that laser or when this is going to come up, but I think there's room for someone to make some LED products that match those. And you could sell them for more too. I think there's a value there if you had a true BAB replacement, a true FMW replacement on the MR16 side, and the same beam angle if they can accomplish that. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think that to your point, some of the MR16 lamps, for example, a lot of manufacturers have 1 wattage or 1 lumen package, and they say any MR16 you have, this is it.
Yes.
So we know MR16s can be 20 watt, 35 watt, 50 watt, even 75 watt.
Sure.
I've seen before.
42 watt, 42 watt. Yeah.
Yeah. So 7 watt takes all, huh? Is that how that works?
Yeah, that's basically it's like Henry Ford back in the old days. You can have any color you want as long as it's black.
Right. Yep.
It's like, oh, okay, put a dimmer. It's like, okay, the dimmers are not always, and a dimmed light source is different than a lower wattage light source.
Especially in LED.
Yes.
Like it doesn't dim the same way as halogen, and color quality in a lot of the MR16 applications on the halogen, the color output or the color quality matters. What the effect of the light is, and I mean, you heard it from your elevator example. You had somebody, you showed them the halogen, they said, "Perfect. Sorry, we can't do that. It's LED."
Yeah, that's not LED. LED should be just like halogen. It's like, yeah, I agree. I would say that the best light source I ever saw, like in terms of pure, like my anecdotal looking at it and going, wow, was the IR halogens. Remember when they came out with those like IR par lamps and IR MR16s and all that, where they had that coating, titanium coating on it or whatever the heck they put on it? And they used the aluminum and not the dichroic reflector. And we're getting geeky here. They used the aluminum and not the dichroic reflector, so there was no backlight off the lamp. And those MR16 halogens with the IR and the aluminum, the light was so good. And if you had a piece, like something you really wanted to highlight, you get a couple 9-degree spots of those on a track light and you point it at it, and man, you could make stuff pop.
Now, in that application, did you convert people from halogen, standard MR16 halogens to those IR halogens?
Yes. Oh, yeah. That was, I had this one furniture store which sold $7,000 couches and stuff like that. And they were whenever there was like an improvement in lighting, I would run down and show it. This is pre-LED. I would run down and show them the new latest best MR16, and they would pay $15 for an MR16, $20 for an MR16.
Yeah, and it wasn't about energy savings though.
No, it was about selling $7,000 couches and $12,000 chairs. They didn't give a rat's ass about how much they paid for the light bulb, bro. They just wanted to make it look as amazing as possible. And they had such a crazy combination in there. They had a guy in that store that all he did was the lighting. Because they would constantly be changing the showroom. And so what they wanted was this play between dark and light everywhere. They wanted to have, like on a couch, they would want to have a dark spot and a really bright spot and then a dark spot or whatever. And then they'd have a statue on a side table beside the couch, and they'd want that statue really bright. So they'd have like a combination of all these different kinds of MR16s. And they probably had, 4,000 MR16s in the store. And this guy was thinking through every socket.
What are they doing now?
Yeah, they closed the store. But they built a condominium there where the store was. And the people in Toronto will probably know which store I'm talking about now that I said that. But they were a great client of mine for years. And when they built the new store, they have all purpose-built LED with a lighting control system that was put in by the designer. So I don't know what they're doing now. But I don't think that they had the same precision they had then in terms of what they were able to do when the space changed by simply changing a light bulb.
So do you think there'll always be the market for these halogen, especially halogen lamps?
Nah, it's over. But what I think is that I think as like the laser stuff. Remember that episode? What episode was the laser episode? That's where
a while ago.
Yeah, that's when I heard him talking about it like that. I thought there's room, man. People will pay for good lighting. Especially they'll also pay for flexibility.
See, I agree with that to some aspect, but I feel like not as much as they used to. Because of LED, they're caring more about energy savings than they are about good quality lighting. So it's a hard story to go back and so people that have LED that might have lost the quality of lighting don't seem to really care as much as long as it's LED. If you go back to them and say this halogen will actually do better for you, I don't think it's going to happen. Do you?
I'll tell you this: there was this guy that worked in and there was lots of customers like that in our smaller in art galleries though. But this guy had, I don't know, like a killer amount of MR16s in that place. Okay, and he would sit there with the product catalog open, and he would study the beam angles and the center beam candle power and stuff like that on this, and then design based like when they redid the showroom, he would go through and accent it all with lighting. Where is that guy now? Where is that force? Where is the spirit of good lighting, man? I mean, there's LED has the DLC, and I'm going to criticize those guys again. They've basically turned everything into an energy play. And it has to be 5,000 Kelvin too. That's gross. Forget about 5,000 Kelvin. I mean, the best guy, and so we've made a lot. I think what's happened is the IES just got shoved out of the way by energy efficiency and utility rebates, and everything's a rebate now. And people forgot that, hey, lighting matters, man. Lighting sells stuff. Lighting is at the heart of interior design, Greggy.
Yeah, and we've talked some in the past about it. Is we've asked if it's an art or a science, and then it goes back and forth because right now with LED, it's like a science. Like here's your math behind it, and here's your LED bulb, but then what happened to the art of it? It has gone away because everybody cares about energy efficiency. So I don't know if that's ever going to come back, or maybe that's the next frontier of LED. That we talk about health effects of lighting and things, and maybe that's where it can go to. Is it can get some of that quality and some of that lighting that halogen, for example, used to provide.
Well, I think lighting designers have more options. Like, we're not lighting designers, so I think lighting designers have more options now than they've ever had with LED to do crazy fun stuff. The problem is there's very little flexibility. Now, I'm not talking about changing colors. I'm not talking about controllability and addressability and this kind of stuff. What I'm talking about is like, I want a different kind of light source to come out of that fixture. Okay, try this one. This one's a spot. If you plug this into that, you'll get a spot, or you'll get 75 watts instead of 20 watts, or you'll get whatever. There's no versatility there's no socket. So there's no versatility at the socket in new designs. So whatever you start with, you're stuck with in a way.
Right, and that's where the importance of controls or having the ability to control purpose-built fixtures, I think, is a necessity. If you are going to do that, you better have some capability to change it, to at least the light output that comes from it. The beam angle, talking specifically on halogen, you don't see a lot of that. There are sources that have that capability, but it's not real common. So that is an issue for sure in the market.
Yeah, and it's funny that we're kind of reminiscing on old technology, but that's gone. Like that ability for for a maintenance guy who cares about lighting, whose boss is on his butt to make sure that the showroom looks nice and that the product is displayed in a way that is that it matters. I think it's a combination of people buying more stuff online as well. I think that's contributing to it. I mean, it's like people don't even need to see stuff anymore before they buy it. They just buy it. It comes. If they don't like it, they send it back.
Yeah, you're right. Unfortunately, that's how it goes for sure.
So it's a combination, but I think there's something's been lost here, and I think a smart manufacturer or a smart, lamp manufacturer could make a premium line of LED, in this case MR16s, that maybe are tunable from the light, the spot perspective. You know what I mean? Spot to flood.
Yep.
Like what I'm talking about is you turn the front of the bulb or something and it goes from a flood to a spot. I don't know. I've
seen a few that have like inserts. There's a couple that come with different lenses or things like that. But yeah.
Yeah, and there's applications out there. I mean, we've had 25, 40, 60, and 100-watt light bulbs for 100 years. Why? Why is that? Why do they exist? Because people like different light levels. We've had frosted and clear. We've had different watts of MR16, and they sold. And yeah, 50 watt was the most common, but that doesn't mean that every LED should equal a 50 watt. And if you don't like it, dim it.
Right.
No, dude. I don't know.
And to your point on manufacturing process and where that comes in, every lighting manufacturer is making similar product or the same thing. So this is a great way for them to stand out. Is let's focus on some, items that not everybody has, and like MR16, a great example where you can have a variety of beam angles, lumen packages, and things that can take the place of all the specialty halogens that have been sold in the past. So I think that makes a lot more sense than blasting out one MR16 that everybody else has.
Yeah, you got this one. You need an MR16. It's this one, and we have it in 3,000 and 4,000K.
That's it.
Pick.
Right.
You don't like it, dim it. It's it's not. It doesn't always work that way, and so yeah. I'm kind of thinking back on the old days when people actually cared about how much the beam angle was and how much the wattage was, and how high the track lighting fixture was from the product, and that was fun to work on that kind of stuff with people. When you were a real product specialist and you're like, yeah, this, I know what you need. You need a 35 watt, 24 degree beam to handle that one, son.
Yeah. That gets into the lighting design phase and using the knowledge that you have that sometimes now in today's market is getting lost because everybody's just smashing in what the option is, the LED option, and it's not always the right thing.
Agreed. Well, I think that's a little reminiscent down the road of the old technology world. Thanks for listening, folks. Keystone Technologies, baby. Go to KEYSTONETECH.com, baby. KeystoneTech.com for all your step-down voltage transformer needs, Greg. Come on, buddy.
That's right. That's what we're focusing on today. And there are a lot of applications or times, unfortunately, where we've made mistakes here at Premier Lighting. And we've gone into a system or a job where we assumed it was 277 volt, and we ordered the product that way. And we get there and it's 480 volt. So what do? You use one of these, step-down transformer. You can put it in every fixture, not very expensive considering what a 480 volt adder would be for a lot of product. You can put this in, step the voltage down at the fixture to 277, and then you have all the flexibility in the world. A great product by Keystone.
Yeah, you can't, I find that, and like I said in the intro, with those higher voltages, they just smash into those electronics a little too hard. I'm using the wrong words probably, but it just feels like the voltage is too high for the amount of electronics in fluorescent T5HO ballast and T8 ballast and now in LED drivers. I never liked it. So step that voltage down, son, with KeystoneTech.com. Go to KEYSTONETECH.com. And of course, the National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors. Take LS1, take LS2. Come on, man, get educated. Join us. Go to NILD.org for more information. And Greg, hey, it was really good talking to you today about light bulbs, buddy.
Hey, we haven't done that before, or we have for the last 15 years or whatever it's been. But it was fun.
But when was the last time we talked about halogens, man? Come on, bro.
That one's been a while. We'll give it a couple of years, probably.
Yeah, remember we used to sit around talking about fluorescent high base?
What? What are those?
Yeah. Remember fluorescent high base, man? So take out that metal halide you put in. Okay, folks, don't worry. We're going to do a whole episode on fluorescent high base. But for right now, thanks for listening to this one. Get a grip on lighting.com.
Written on the rectory wall, there's a sign there for all. You are lost, Lord is there to find you.